Hi, I'm Meghna Paninti. I go to Rutgers Business School, so Rutgers University, New Brunswick. I am majoring in finance and business analytics and information technology, and I'm a senior this year. So I'm also the current president of the Rutgers Enactus chapter. In the spring, I think we struggled a lot just because it was very unexpected. So what we ended up doing was Rutgers has WebEx for free. So we decided to have WebEx meetings because we have meetings every Monday night at 9:45 and everyone knows that. And we have project breakouts. So up until like 9:45 to 10:15, we do like updates, and then 10:15 to 11, projects do what they need to do. So we started doing that because we realized if we don't do that, then like we're really gonna like start lagging in like project progress. But what we realized was there wasn't a lot of involvement from people. People just weren't coming to those meetings just because there was a lot going on. Everyone was adjusting to an online semester. And I think because we didn't even get the chance to tell people like this is going to be the plan when we go virtual because we didn't know, we struggled a lot with that. So I think over the summer what we ended up doing is essentially meeting with all the project leads and project managers and telling them, if the school year is virtual, we will still have Enactus meetings. They will be virtual. We're going to do everything we do in person, just on Zoom. And then we just had conversations with them. Our director of projects did one-on-ones with every single leader that we have so that they're all aware of what our plans are going forward and so that we're aware of their plans and making sure that we could all pivot for COVID-19. Because of course we want our projects to still make progress. We don't want them to stand still, which is the issue that we had last semester. We weren't making that much progress. And then I think the summer just served as a test run for us. So we had projects kind of meet on their own, and then eBoard would hop in and out of different meetings. We were all assigned one project to essentially like consult on. So we ended up being like their buddy for the summer. Any questions they had, we go to all their meetings, just making sure that they're on track and kind of getting them into the groove of meeting virtually so that when we do go like official virtual meetings starting September, like it's very normal to them, it's very easy. And that's kind of what we realized is working really well now that we've set a structure for the summer that they have to meet like bi-weekly and they have to update us. I think the projects are doing a lot better now. And that's kind of what we went off with this semester. So now we've already started marketing and let everybody know that we have 9:45 meetings. Everyone needs to be there. We have Zoom links. We created a new Slack channel called like the #calendar channel. So people can like get updates every time we have a meeting, like a day before. So they can just click the link in the Slack channel and just join our meetings. We haven't found any projects weren't completely suited to this time, but we've had to like shift our plans for a lot of the projects. So for example, we have a project called Duckweed, and the phase that they're in right now is they're building their prototype. And of course, like they can't meet in person to build their prototype. But what they realized is like, even though we can't meet in person, Rutgers still has like labs open. So like one of them can meet with the professor one-on-one and try to figure out like next steps. And we've also like pushed projects to doing a lot more research, and we started implementing this thing called project process maps. So essentially like every route you can take your project in. So if like one of them is impacted by COVID and it like requires us being in person, you take a different route so that every project has multiple areas that it could work on. Because of course we need to finish all of those areas by the time the project is done. But now that we've written everything down, we can prioritize what actually fits with this time period and what doesn't. And then there's also another project called PALS, and that's like a consulting project we have with an actual company. So for them, what we ended up doing was we essentially, like they're still working, their company is still going, but obviously we can't go and meet with them because we're not quite allowed to. So we've just shifted all those meetings to be virtual, and we've just given them a lot more like direction on like what direction we want to take things. For example, something that we're working on for them is packaging and things like that. And typically those meetings would be in person, but now they're doing those meetings over Zoom. And we also, we have this thing called Memo of Understanding. When we work with a consulting project, we sign essentially a contract with them of like what Enactus is and what they are and what's expected of both parties. We've revised that MOU this summer to kind of take into account like COVID and everything like that, so that new expectations were set for both sides, because we do want to have positive relationships with our clients as well. I think that's pretty accurate. I think everything needs to be super specified, especially from eBoard, as to like what's expected and how to even structure general meetings. Because if you kind of let it, like if you give a little bit of guidance, like, hey, like just meet, that's not going to fly that well. Like we took away our requirement of coming to meetings last semester. So like last year, you weren't required to come to general meetings as long as you met with your project leads, like in your own time. But then we realized with the virtual semester, like everyone should be at these general meetings on Monday nights, or else like people will not know what's going on. So we brought that back. And then what we are doing is this town hall actually next week. It's called Leadership Town Hall. We're bringing in all of eBoard, all of our project leaders, and essentially breaking down what this virtual semester is going to look like for Enactus. Like we're going to go through Zoom, showcase how to use Zoom and all the other features. Because the plan we have is, of course, we have like one Zoom link for everyone to get on for general updates. And then after that, each project manager should have a Zoom link for their own projects so that everyone can hop on to the right link. So eBoard can also like bounce around, kind of mimicking like if we were at Rutgers, we would be in one big room together and then projects would break out into their own separate rooms in Tillett Hall where we meet. So we were trying to mimic that as best as possible, showcasing that to them. We also want to show them best practices for Slack and what's expected of them, like communication-wise, because something that we did tell them and our director of projects is having is like bi-weekly meetings with projects. So like every other week, she's going to do like 30-minute update meetings with projects. So each project, just so that she knows exactly what's going on. Those are meetings I will also be going to. And then our director of R&D is going to be doing that for our initiatives. And then our VP is going to go to those meetings as well. So it's really important, I think, that everyone's just in the loop with everything and understands where we are, but also that there's like a set, clear structure that it's just so simple for like members to like know what to do. Enactus is like an organization where you have deliverables, you kind of have to make these deadlines. If not, like things fall behind and there's people that are counting on you. There's we're consulting on businesses too that are also counting on us. So there's like a huge like weight on our shoulders, essentially, like kind of like you're working for a real business. Like you can't just slack off. And I think like going virtual and the way we've done it is like teaches our members like best practices on how to act when you're on a video conference, how to organize yourself, like Google Calendar, as well as essentially just how to like operate in a virtual environment and how to hold yourself accountable. I think that helps a lot to translate into like professional skills. We did have a lot of people graduate last year, so we need to fill those spots in the projects. So we've been really working on our marketing this semester with emailing like all the different schools that are at Rutgers, because our goal is to also diversify our members. We used to have like basically like a lot of business members, but we realized our projects have diversified over the last few years, so we need a more diverse member base. So we've been doing that, and that's been working out really, really well. The first round of emails we're sending out today, actually. And then we're also doing lots of social media marketing and just kind of showcasing like the culture, because we realized that freshmen coming in especially like want a place that feels like home, and kind of showcasing that Enactus culture that we're really proud of too is also helping bring people in, as well as on top of that, the amazing impact that we have. So that's one thing I think we're doing really well. And something else is we have this event called Project Gallery. So that's going to take place during our MIT process, which is our member in training process we've had for a few years now. Basically, one of those weeks, all the new members are going to rotate between Zoom rooms, and each Zoom room is going to be hosted by different projects. So they can learn about every single project that we have and initiatives, so that when time comes to allocate them into new projects or initiatives, they can pick something that they're completely interested in. And it's also a great opportunity for current members, if they're looking into a different project, like to see like, oh, maybe I want to switch out of my project and go to like PALS or like go to something else. So we're just trying to make sure that we give everybody opportunity to be where they want to be, because kind of something else we realized is that if they're passionate about the work they do a really awesome job at it. So really trying to showcase what each project's doing, make sure everyone's on the same page and everyone's in a spot that they actually like being in. Yeah, we're actually doing the same program that we did last semester and semesters prior, this semester as well. The only thing that we changed is we added a deliverable aspect, so that we realized like it's very easy to just sit through a meeting, but we wanted to make sure that the people that are coming are also engaged. So we have like there's 3 weeks in the member in training process. We do like a needs analysis week, we introduce the projects 1 week, and then we also talk about leadership and other opportunities one of the weeks as well, just to make sure that members really understand what Enactus is about, because it's a lot when you first hear about it. So something that we decide to do is just every week assign like a small deliverable, whether that be watching like these nationals presentations and coming back with like your thoughts on it, and we're going to discuss for the first 15 minutes, something like that every week, just so that we know that everyone that is going to cross into our organization is actually like did put in the effort to like come to those meetings and do those deliverables, and they're like super short too. I think a great thing to have for like any team is some sort of R&D initiative section. Like for us, we have an R&D director who has their own like, if members aren't put into projects, we don't like to put too many people into projects, only like enough to like sustain the project. Everyone else is put into R&D, and R&D is essentially an area where people are put into groups and they can come up with their own initiatives. Like they can come up with a topic. Like for example, if I join R&D and I'm really passionate about education, our R&D director will help you come up with a project idea around education, like whether that be Education New Brunswick, and then like getting the context for that. And something that we started doing is reaching out to our regional manager, Becky, about different things that we want to be a part of. We just sent her a bunch of our R&D initiative ideas and asked, do you have any contacts for this, or are any other chapters doing something similar? And I think that would be really helpful. Before we had this, we just had a small R&D committee, and they would just like come up with ideas of like future projects. And I think that's really important for like most chapters to have, and that's what I would advise. Like if you can't work on your projects this semester, then you should come up with some R&D ideas, whether that be like splitting everyone up into like teams of 5 and assigning them like one topic, whether that be a COVID or like period poverty and like Yemen or like world hunger, like something like that, and just have them research and see if that could go somewhere. I think that would be also like super helpful. Yeah, I think something that I was very passionate about when I got this position is culture and motivation. Those are like 2 of my biggest things. And I think like Enactus, at least my chapter when I first joined, had this awesome culture of like people were friends with each other. Like you wanted to do the work because you didn't want to disappoint the people around you. And that's something that we wanted to bring back this year. So something that eBoard has been stressing is bonding events, like whether that be like eBoard bonding events, making sure that everyone's on the same page and like enjoys being here and is having a good time here. And we're stressing that to our project leads and project managers. That's why we're doing town hall, to make sure that everyone feels heard. We don't want it to seem like a bureaucratic like organization where like eBoard's just telling you what to do. We think like eBoard's role is more of supporting anything that you need. So culture has been really, really huge. And I realized that having some sort of culture like always combats like the motivation issues, because when I've talked to people that have dropped Enactus in the previous times, they've always said because A, they either don't feel passionate about the mission or the project they're on, or B, because they just feel like it's boring and they don't really have any friends. So that's what we're trying to combat right now. Like outside of projects, I think this is a great time for like teams to build that team aspect, because I think that's super important. I think we wish we had nationals, because nationals, I've realized, is like a place where teams really bond and your passion is just reignited at nationals. And that's what we're trying to do like virtually like this semester, hoping that we can keep motivation up and make sure that people like truly love being here. Something that we've been doing for a while now is we've always have outside bonding events. So we used to do Enactus banquets where it was like every semester we'd have like everyone gets to dress up, we have food, we do like a quick intro in the beginning of everything we accomplished this semester, and then it's just like food and everyone just essentially like talks to each other, networks, has fun, and we bring in our advisors. Sometimes we invite alumni back. That was a great thing to do, and I think that really like fortified like that individual aspect. What we've been doing in the virtual environment is like game nights, Netflix parties, anything that's like a lot more low-key where people can just get to know each other. We've started doing that. Beyond that, we also utilize Slack, and on Slack, something that we're mandating is like everyone having like a picture just to make it like more personal so you know what everyone looks like. We're going to try to ask everyone to have their cameras on at meetings. And we're trying to do fun things like icebreakers before a meeting starts and utilize Zoom polls, like a quick question like, is water wet? Yes, no, and then like a quick debate. We've done that in the past and that's always really, really fun. And then also you can rename yourself on Zoom. So something that we want to do this year is just have people name themselves like whatever they want after the first few weeks and everyone knows each other. So just to add a little bit more like of a fun aspect and a personal like inside joke kind of thing. Beyond that, something we've done in the past but have stopped is essentially like a mentor-mentee program. We stopped it last year because we realized we didn't need it, but this year we're thinking of reintroducing it just because it's a virtual. So at our returning members meeting, we're sending out a form asking if people are going to would be interested in having one mentee, and then we're going to ask like the new members like if they want a mentor, and this mentor will match based on like, we're thinking of like essentially making it kind of like a dating profile where we ask them like your name, your major, your year, your interest to match people that have like a lot in common so that they can actually like get something out of this mentorship, whether that be like career advice, Enactus advice, just Rutgers advice, being like a freshman here. So that's something else that we're trying to implement to make sure that like personal touch is still there. I think like the biggest things, honestly, like that helped us a lot this summer have been communication and figuring out which members like really want to be here and really don't want to be here. Because we realized like in the virtual semester especially, like it really knocked out members that don't want to be here. And like in the summer, we ended up with a really good core group of people, which still like 50 people, but like typically our club is like 80, 90. So like, I think we ended up with like 60 people this summer, but all these 60 people were people that wanted to be here. So we just wanted to make sure that their passion like doesn't die. So we like really put an effort in from our end to support them as much as possible, going to their meetings, asking what they need, and essentially like establishing like a good relationship. Because in previous years, we've had issues where like people just feel like Igor just comes in and tells them what to do, but we've really like taken that step back and made sure that everyone understands that we're advisors and we're not like dictators in a sense. I think that's really, really helped. Like essentially open communications helped a lot. And also we have like little small events such as like little brainstorm events that we do. Our R&D director does them, and that's like where all the members are invited to. We have them like once a semester, and they just essentially talk about issues that they'd like to see projects cover and like how they could research these issues and where they can go with it. And that's also something I think that's really cool that other chapters should also look into.